Yo, yo, yo! What's up, my little manhwa population family? Today, I'm bringing you an absolute banger of a manhwa. You better buckle up, because this one's a wild ride from start to finish. So, without any more delays, let's get it. The story kicks off with Kim Yisak, the unluckiest dude alive. My guy got hit with a one-of-a-kind illness. Literally, he's the only person diagnosed with it. And if that wasn't bad enough, boom, he's got 6 months left to live. His whole life? Nothing but slavery and misery. No fun, no freedom, just endless suffering. But you know what really broke him? The fact that he was going to die a virgin. Talk about tragic. And just to rub salt into his already painful wounds, on the same day he gets diagnosed, he wins the freaking lottery. Talk about god-tier bad luck. But in the end, yet he dies. And then boom, reincarnation. But hold up, it's not as a hero, not as a noble, not even as a regular dude. No, he's reborn as a bald-ass skeleton in the underworld. An inferior class summon monster. Bruh, his new job? Wiping out rebellious forces threatening the demonic realm. And guess what? He ain't playing around. He annihilates the threats, brings prosperity to demonkind. And before you know it, he's crowned the undying sovereign of the underworld. All hail King Isaac. Even though his name is Yisak, these demons keep butchering it and calling him Isaac. SMH. But even with all this clout and power, our boy ain't satisfied. His ultimate goal? Become human again. Why? Not for power, not for fame, just to taste food, feel pain, and experience life like a normal dude. Simple, right? So, he marches his skeletal self into the divine realm, with the severed head of the enemy leader, proving he completed his mission. Mission accomplished, baby! Now, it's time for the gods to hold up their end of the deal and turn him human again. But guess what? These snake gods never planned to keep their promise. They expected the task to take 500 years, but my guy blitzed it in just a few. The gods thought they could scam him into eternal servitude. But Yisak? He ain't having it. He demands his reward, right here, right now. But one of these shady gods tries to weasel out with a classic just one more favor. Nah fam, Yisak ain't dumb. Realizing he's about to get played, our skeleton king rages. The power he unleashes? So terrifying, even the gods flinch. They panic, and these cowards resort to their ultimate trump card. They write Yisak's name on some creepy centipede-like creature holy artifact that completely immobilizes anyone whose name is inscribed. This is some EX-grade holy magic, the kind of technique they use to seal disasters. But Yisak? He's no disaster. He's the apocalypse itself. The gods start their final ritual to trap Yisak inside that wretched bug for eternity. But our boy says, screw that. If he's gonna go out, it's on his terms. His energy explodes, shaking the entire divine realm to its core. A massive blast engulfs everything. And when the dust settles, Yisak is gone. All that's left? That tiny, insignificant caterpillar the gods had prepared. Thinking their spell actually worked, the gods celebrate, believing they've sealed away the demon king forever. They're ready to reclaim their dominance. But one of the wiser gods ain't buying it. He warns the others, don't get too comfortable. Because if another monster like Yisak is ever born, the gods are screwed. The gods are still at it. Since they fumbled sealing Yisak, they gotta fix their divine mess up. Their new plan? Create the ultimate saint in the human realm to wipe out every last demon. But one god points out, this is kind of a huge job. Whoever makes this saint is going to get drained like a juice box. Still, the volunteer god? Confident as hell. He just needs to find the perfect soul to throw into the saint's body. And as for our bald skeleton overlord, the gods are cackling at the thought of torturing him as a caterpillar for all eternity. But hold up, Yisak ain't a bug. He's a baby now. Dude is confused. 1 second, he's beefing with the gods, and now he's been ice-guyed into an infant. The only logical conclusion? Those divine clowns fumbled the seal. The maids around him start cooing, all excited that the saint has woken up. But Yisak ain't buying it. He peeps their faces and immediately gets bad vibes. And then, BM, one of them pulls out a feeder full of suspicious green goo. Alarm bells go off. Yisak ain't stupid. This looks like a one-way ticket to another reincarnation. The servant with the poison bottle even grins at him like, sorry, little guy, but I gotta do this. As soon as they try to shove the feeder in his mouth, He dodges like a pro, twisting his head left and right like he's Neo in the Matrix. The maids freak out. Why is the saint refusing to eat? Duh, because he doesn't want to die. At this point, Yisak is trying to figure out how the hell he even became human again. And then, he hears it. They call him Isaac. His soul leaves his body for a second. That name, the same mispronunciation that the underworld and the gods used. And then it hits him. The gods messed up. Their dollar store sealing spell failed because they used the wrong name. Instead of trapping him forever, they yeeted him into a new human body. Yisak grins like a villain. These divine buffoons played themselves, and he's loving every second of it. But before he can bask in the glory of his escape, boom, the maids strike. They shove the feeder into his mouth. He fights back, but baby strength can only do so much. He finally gives in and takes a sip, and it tastes like blended kale and regret. This is worse than death. But since he ain't keeled over yet, he figures it's probably not poison. Probably just some disgusting baby veggie juice. But then something changes. A weird sensation creeps through his body. Something is off. This ain't normal food, there's definitely something else mixed in. And with that, the scene shifts to the Holy Empire Hellas Central Temple. The old coot thinks he's won, but nah, our boy's built different. Over at the Holy Empire Hellas Central Temple, an ancient geezer is sitting back, smirking to himself. Why? Because he's convinced that Isaac, one of the saint candidates, is deader than a doornail by now. Dude's already picturing our boy pushing up daisies. But then, enter the big boss. The Emperor of the Holy Empire Hella, Alexander Heathcliff Hella, strides into the temple like a king inspecting his domain. He's here for one reason only, to check on the saint candidate of the Ashwa household, aka our boy. The old bishop freezes for a second, but then, quick as ever, he plasters on a fake smile and bows his balding head along with his disciples. Alexander, the walking definition of absolute authority, wastes no time and asks the old man what he's doing here. "Oh, your majesty," the bishop lies through his teeth. "I merely came to greet the saint candidate of House Ashwa." Bruh, he's lying so hard it's almost impressive. Then suddenly, a loud voice breaks through the temple. A reporter dashes in, panting like he just ran a holy marathon. His voice is urgent. Something's happened to Isaac. The old bastard nearly jumps with joy. Oh, his plan must have worked. Alexander and his nightly entourage waste no time. They sprint straight to Isaac's room. But when they get there, plot twist, our boy ain't dead. Turns out Isaac's just chilling. His belly? Round as a pumpkin. The reason? He's been guzzling that poison like it's a 5-star meal. Servants spill the tea. Isaac has already chugged 15 bottles of that tasteless green juice. 15. This dude ate the deadly poison like it was a buffet. The emperor is intrigued, but the old geezer? Devastated. His entire soul leaves his body. How is this kid still alive? Flashback time. Let's rewind a bit. When Isaac first sipped that nasty juice, he immediately felt something off. There was an ominous force sinking into his body. But soon he figured it out. It's a holy poison, a devastating toxin designed to destroy holy power. It's slow-acting, but if a normal saint candidate drinks too much, they're toast. But here's the thing. The poison? It's made from demonic manna. And guess who used to be a demon king? This isn't poison. It's a full-course meal. To Isaac, this stuff is like weed. He could smoke this poison all day, and it'd still hit just as good. The moment he finishes his first bottle, boom, he starts crying for more. The servants panic, thinking, "Oh no, we have to make him drink more." Bruh, he's literally begging for it. They think they're killing him, but they're just feeding him power. And as Isaac keeps downing the bottles, something wild starts happening inside him. He enters a deep, unconscious state. Right at the core of his soul, he starts forging his mana core. A ball of fire ignites in his hands. He takes all that demonic mana poison and starts stuffing it into his core. Why? Because if he wants to use magic later, he needs to set up the foundation now. But then boom, his mana core explodes. Smoke clears, and what he sees? Absolutely not normal. A mana core should be one of the 3 primary colors. His? It's white, and he has no idea why. But color ain't even the real problem. It's the sheer, overwhelming power bursting out of this unfinished core. Something big is coming. Our boy just hit the jackpot. Despite the sheer chaos inside his body, Isaac can't help but grin like a madman. This is beyond anything he expected. His tiny new body is overflowing with terrifying power. If he trains properly, if he hones himself just right, he might just become a monster beyond comprehension. From loser to legend, his journey begins. Looking back at his past, it still pisses him off. He died like a loser. No accomplishments, no grand victories, just a pathetic death. But did he give up? Hell no. All he ever wanted was to survive. That desperation turned him into a bald skeleton demon. And through sheer effort, he created original buffs and spells. And now, it looks like all those abilities got passed down to this body too. Meanwhile, outside his head, the servants are panicking. For a second, they legit thought he was dead. Dude was just lying there, not moving an inch. But then, suddenly, he lifts a single finger and demands another bottle of poison at full volume. The servants nearly jump out of their skin. Back to the present, Alexander and his knights are low-key shook. They were expecting the worst, but nope, everything's fine. Even Isaac is relieved. For a second, he thought he was about to get assassinated. Then something catches his attention. The bishop is staring daggers at him. Why the hell is this old man looking at him like that? Did he eat too much? Did he just commit some sort of baby crime by chugging too much juice? Whatever it is, our boy ain't about to overreact. He's playing it cool. The last thing he needs is to look suspicious. So, he keeps up the act, staying in character as an innocent little baby. Meanwhile, the old coot is literally fuming. This brat should be on the floor, coughing up blood, fighting for his last breath. Instead, he's grinning like he just won the lottery. The bishop is losing his mind. But let's switch scenes back to a few days earlier. At the Holy SE headquarters, a golden-haired dude sits in a grand chamber, absolutely seething. Why? Because whoever gets the title of saint automatically gains control over the entire Holy Empire. And this guy? He wants that power for himself. He's convinced that all the noble families are throwing their kids into the saint candidate race just for the throne. And he is not happy about it. Standing before him is our favorite old coot, the bishop. The bishop reassures him, "Don't worry, my lord. I'll handle the other candidates. They won't be a problem." But then, the golden-haired guy leans forward. "I've been hearing some unpleasant rumors. Whispers have been spreading about a new saint candidate from House of Schwa. And House of Schwa? They're tight with the emperor. This is bad news." The bishop tenses up. He knows taking down House of Schwa's candidate won't be easy. But still, he forces a smile and reassures his master. "I assure you, the brat will be dead before the emperor even considers him." Golden Boy isn't satisfied. "Verify the corpse yourself." He orders the bishop to go back to House of Schwa and personally confirm that the brat is dead. Well, good luck with that, old man. The plot just thickened, and so did the bishop's sweat. That golden-haired schemer? Cardinal Harry Barrett, the head of House Barrett and the mastermind behind this whole saint candidate purge scheme. His goal? Eliminate every other candidate, so the next saint comes from his own family. And now, back in the present, our favorite old coot is in full panic mode. Why? Because Isaac is very much alive. This man is sweating bullets. He knows that if he goes back empty-handed, Cardinal Barrett will have his head on a silver platter. Meanwhile, Alexander is having an entirely different kind of moment. He's staring at Isaac's platinum blonde hair, utterly fascinated. Why? Because it reminds him of the Holy Empire's founder. And that's where the bishop officially loses his marbles. Blasphemy! Comparing this brat to the Holy Empire's founder is an absolute crime in his eyes. But then, Alexander drops an even bigger bombshell. This boy is closer to God than even the Pope. Excuse me, what? And just like that, Isaac is officially declared the final saint candidate. Our boy is in shock. A saint candidate? Him, the former demon king, is supposed to be a holy saint. And the bishop? Oh, he is not having it. With the emperor showing clear favoritism toward our boy, this old bastard knows he has to act fast. So, he tries to BS his way into an inspection. "Your Majesty, this child is unnatural. No baby should be able to drink that much vegetable juice." Bro really just called Isaac out for being a bottomless pit. But Alexander? He's not buying it. He's a saint candidate. Of course, he can chug monk food. Meanwhile, Isaac is still struggling to process this mess. How the hell is a former demon king suddenly a saint candidate? What kind of reverse ice sky is this? But then, he accidentally screws up. After stuffing himself like a Thanksgiving turkey, he casually burps out excess demonic energy. And he realizes immediately he just goofed. His eyes go wide. His hand slaps over his mouth. Did I just blow my cover? Yep, he did. The bastard bishop immediately latches on. He sensed the demonic energy. This was the proof he needed. Your Majesty, this child is a fake. He carries impure mana. He insists that an inquisitor be brought in immediately. Alexander, however, is fed up with this clownery. He's getting real tired of this old man barking nonsense. But then, the bishop plays his trump card. There's no need for concern, Your Majesty. The Pope has already chosen the saint. It is none other than a child from House Barrett. And that right there sets off all kinds of red flags for Alexander. Oh really? So the Pope just happened to pick a kid from his own damn family? And finally, Isaac gets it. He connects the dots. The Barretts are eliminating every rival candidate so they can keep the saint's power within their family. And this slimy old man was sent to kill him. But then, the bishop strikes. He scoops Isaac up in his arms. I must take this child to a priest immediately. Bro is trying to kidnap him on the spot. The tension is rising as the old coot tries to push his agenda. But before he can get too far, Alexander stops him dead in his tracks. Alexander reminds him pointedly that House Ashwa is the imperial family's closest ally. And as emperor, he highly suggests this old coot to reassess the child at a later date. The old bastard halts in his tracks, only to make a comeback. This time with a soft but clear threat aimed at the emperor. Apparently, the Pope has mentioned that the ceremony of investiture for the crown prince will only take place once the saint's election is concluded. Basically, the Pope is threatening the emperor by refusing to officially recognize his son unless the emperor agrees with the Pope's choice for the saint. Even Isaac can sense what's going on, and it makes him incredibly annoyed. While he has no intention of becoming the saint candidate because it would attract unwanted attention and jeopardize his true identity, he also can't let the inspection go through. It might reveal his real identity as a demon. Then, an idea sparks in his tiny mind, a plan to turn the situation to his advantage. He infuses the feeder bottle he's holding with mana and strikes the old bastard across the face hard enough to break his teeth, sending blood leaking from his mouth. The broken teeth fly through the air as Isaac acts like a little child just playing around. The old man struggles to comprehend how something so simple could hurt so much. But Isaac just keeps playing the role of the cute, innocent child. Seeing the sheer strength of this boy, the emperor declares that this child must truly be the saint. Even the old man is clueless as to where all this holy power is coming from. Isaac doesn't stop there. He swings the bottle again and lands another brutal hit, and further continues his relentless barrage, one strike after another. It's safe to say this is one of the worst days the old bastard's had in a while. Meanwhile, the emperor is enjoying every moment of this, thoroughly pleased to see such a capable candidate for the title of saint. Isaac, on the other hand, makes sure to strengthen the bottle with magic and delivers one last hit to seal the deal. But suddenly, he senses something unusual about his own powers. Every time he uses mana, he can sense a faint amount of holy power as well. You see, mana and holy power are incompatible and can't normally be used together. The only explanation for this odd occurrence is the influence of the mana core now residing inside him. The old man finally grabs the feeder bottle, throwing it away in a fit of rage, declaring that the baby is a heretic and that they must immediately use the holy exorcism art. To put the final nail in the coffin, Isaac reaches into the old man's jacket and pulls out a creepy hand. Seeing this hand in public leaves the old man utterly devastated. He knows he's in real trouble now. Here's the context. This hand is actually the corpse of a high-ranking demon sealed away. In other words, it's a totem. The totem is an artifact that utilizes the characteristics of demons, who consume the corpses of other demons to absorb their mana. Isaac has kept this totem on him at all times, just in case he ever encounters demons. The old man completely loses his shit when he realizes this kid even knows about the totem. Isaac proceeds to throw the totem on the floor, making it visible for everyone to see. As soon as the totem touches the ground, Isaac snaps his fingers, and the demonic monster inside is unleashed. While the onlookers are absolutely shocked, my guy is rocked. It's a true dab moment for him. The discovery of the shadow lich catches the Emperor on high alert. He roars at the bishop of the Barrett family to have summoned a demon inside their temple. The bishop attempts to pin the blame on the child, accusing him of taking out the totem. But the Emperor reminds him that totems can only bind dead demons, so a mere kid couldn't have done something like that. The Emperor orders his men to protect the child from the demon and the bishop. Our little protagonist is quickly snatched away, giving the old bitch face a cocky smile, forever messing with him. More importantly, he's intrigued to find out the bishop's strength. Suddenly, the demonic figure roars after understanding its objective to kill the saint at all costs. This puts our little dude in major trouble because the monster in the room has set its sights on killing him particularly. The royal guards jump ahead to protect the young master at all costs. But even Isaac doesn't get what's going on, as he's the one who summoned the demon, and yet it is targeting him on the spot. He's not worried though, because he thinks the platoon of royal knights will be enough to protect him. That happy-go-lucky attitude goes out the fucking window when one of the guards gets smashed into the nearest wall. Now he's left questioning if these dudes are even competent as the royal knights to begin with. The monstrous demon catches up on Isaac and the guard protecting him. This creature seems adamant on achieving its goal, to save the imprisoned king for some reason. The guard holding him is scared shitless as more of his friends are getting tossed around like toys. Isaac realizes he must intervene, and he easily can, as no one will notice the use of his mana in the chaotic movement. The monstrous demon lunges forth to attack Isaac while he's left wondering why there is an entire group of people trying to assassinate a damn baby. Isaac is pissed that he just freed T-Demon, and yet this ungrateful fuck is trying to unalive him. He invokes his true self, that of a demonic lord, instilling extreme fear inside the demon. The monster is shocked to be in the presence of the Skeleton King, but shortly after that, the boy releases his mana and beams brightly, astonishing the Emperor and his guards. That every glowing shine of his engulfs even the demon, causing it to flee screaming in fear. The demon escaped, but everyone just witnessed the sight of true holy power at work. The guards can't believe that the young master could beat a high demon. They hold him in high regard. Meanwhile, our savage little killing machine is seriously surprised that he can channel holy power. He truly doesn't get where he's stuck. The holy power runs out, but here's the twist. His current body allows him to convert his personal pool of mana into holy power, which also troubles him, because now he won't be able to gather any dark mana. It makes him realize that there's no dark mana in the Holy Empire. The bishop is captured, despite him groaning accusations of the kid being a heretic. He blames the young master for being a demon, and even offers to exorcise him for the sake of the emperor. But the emperor has had enough of this guy's ramblings, and truly, all he's done so far is accuse a child of being a heretic when he himself released a high demon against the royal knights. The emperor speaks in a firm tone, emphasizing that the bishop will not be let off so easily for his treacherous acts. This is bad news for him and his group, as the emperor will only get closer on discovering the truth about their spy. The bishop fears that it will inevitably harm the reputation of the Sanctus Satis, so he sneakily attempts to cast a spell, sacrificing his own life for the sake of his family. The bishop releases a powerful mana beast, now hell-bent on his objective to kill the saint candidate at all costs. The creature bares its fangs against the tiny baby, who is sitting there bored out of his ass that this old geezer revealed his true self. At first, he's hella confident that he can knock this puppy down with a sweat. But then it dawns on Isaac that this dude ran out of mana only a few moments ago. It all seems lost until the creature is struck by a powerful attack from another caster. This silver-haired man has come with a vengeance to strike down those who attacked the child of Joshua. It's the devout Azure and his knight squad serving House Joshua. Rely is the leader of this group, as well as the boy's uncle. He orders for the bishop's immediate arrest while baby Isaac is chilling for life. Rely then orders his men to pay immediate respects to the newest member of their family, the son of Joshua. He apologizes to his baby brother and impresses even Isaac with his no-bullshit attitude. In return for their late arrival, they have come with a present. Isaac sees something shining and becomes excited at the thoughts of gold, but it's nothing more than a FING figurine of the Skeleton King getting beheaded. So he's basically receiving souvenirs signaling his own death. It's a shock to his system, because these F-heirs have so many figurines of the Skeleton King dying in various ways, getting crisped alive, or even pulverized to death. There's so many of them. While they're adoring the child's expression, he's out here having heart attacks, realizing that he's going to have to survive the rest of his life with these lunatics around. So clearly the little murder machine isn't liking where this is going. He does vividly recall memories of his own defeat. The Saintess attempted to beat him. All three members that became responsible for bringing him down were part of the stupid Joshua family that he has now become a part of. Imagine reincarnating into your enemy's family line. Bro is punching the air right now. While he's thinking about his shitty luck, the bishop roars at the Joshua family for being nothing more than heretics who created a monster. The old geezer has made it his life's goal to reveal Isaac's true identity. He promises to annihilate the Joshuas by his hand, but that's enough of his yapping. Relai is done playing around and merely slices his throat, warning him that it is the mercy of their family that he didn't deal the killing blow just now. Isaac is really happy that he's got one hell of a powerhouse to rely on. He wonders if Relai is willing to go against the Sancticettes in the future with the right persuasion. The Knights, on the other hand, they're out here treating him with care and consideration. The funny thing is, he remembers fighting against some of the members of the Joshua family and understands that they're strong. His own subordinates were terrified to face Joshua of Blue, for example. But this dude turned out to be a creep with weird figurines of the Skeleton King. The Emperor is glad to have been favored by Relai in this situation, and wants to extend an offer of a lifetime. The Emperor wants to raise Isaac as one of the royal family members, something that comes as music to his ears. The Emperor is doing this because he knows the internal and external forces of the Holy Empire will be targeting the young master, so the situation calls for it. While the Joshuas are reliable and strong, there's no telling if they can safely protect the child. Isaac is a little confused and doesn't get what's going on. Interestingly, Isaac shares the same hair color as the founder of the Holy Empire, which somehow seems to be a significant point. Also, they think that the Skeleton King is secretly targeting the child too, which is just utter nonsense since Isaac is the Skeleton King himself. But these guys don't know that yet. Relai makes it very clear that this kid belongs to the Joshua family and therefore will be raised by them. As such, he doesn't care if it's the Pope or the Skeleton King that is after them. The Joshuas possess more than enough strength to handle the threat. Saint Tez Melissa, among their family, is actually eager to encounter the Skeleton King. They can't exactly have her direct descendant to be just gifted away to the imperial family. The name Melissa strikes pure fear in his heart, as Isaac recalls that she was his final opponent in the divine realm. She was the most terrifying foe she had ever squared up against. So let's add another layer to the Skeleton King's misery. Not only was he born into the family line of his enemy, but he's also the direct descendant of the one woman who beat his ass the most. At this point, he's seriously questioning what the actual FK is going on. Let's rewind a little and understand what a saintess truly means. Having been defeated many times by the Skeleton King, the people decided to forge saintesses, bringing them up as the ultimate weapons of war. They were made to punish evil, donning holy light magic, and considered the highest rank among the knights of the empire. The power of the saintesses allowed the people to believe that the Skeleton King would soon meet his end. They had immense physical stats, a persistent survival instinct, and could only grow stronger with time. But for the Skeleton King, this guy was just ruthless. He was massacring the saintesses left and right. He never really killed them fully, only injured them enough that they would be rendered defeated. The Skeleton King knew that the holy energy of the saintesses always returned to the gods after their end, and that allowed for the creation of even more powerful, evolved saintesses in place. Now let's get to Melissa, the final saintess that he ever faced. She was the most powerful opponent he ever encountered, encountering a near-death experience. And now this terrifying woman is his ancestor. What a life! Relai argues that the saintesses purely exist to defeat the Skeleton King, and the Joshua family line is the only family capable of producing them. Their ultimate mission is to defeat those who stand against the path of gods. Many saintesses have sacrificed their lives just challenging the Skeleton King, even though he never killed them. Turns out that Isaac once trapped a saintess in a maze. It's funny because his intention was to free her, but she was just shit at navigating. 5 Sanuses died of frustration instead of going to the hospital to heal their injuries. Riley comforts the child, reminding him that they'll do everything to protect him even if he's cursed. But in reality, Isaac is punching the air because he's the one suffering the most. Riley wants the child to have only one purpose, and that is for him to turn out anything other than the Skeleton King. Which is pretty fucking hilarious considering this is the baby version of their same damn arch-nemesis. Isaac apologizes for having crushed his parents' dreams by literally existing. The Emperor wants Riley to use his head, reminding him that the Skeleton King had been done away with for more than a century now. This is how Isaac learns that he reincarnated a while into the future, and that means he doesn't have Melissa to fear anymore. From that time, the demonkind continued to prosper. The Emperor argues that Isaac's powers are more important to the Imperial family more than anything. Also, the Emperor highlights that there aren't even any Sanuses from the Joshua family line in service at present. It's been 1 year ever since Isaac came into this world, only for his parents to disappear into thin air. Bro, they really said fuck you to their kid and left. Isaac's received 8 different shocking realizations today, and learning that his mother was the head saint of the family makes it all the more worse. He thinks it's all over for him. Also, remember when this idiot assumed that Melissa is dead? Turns out that Persistent Sanus is also alive, and she's still kicking ass. The dude seriously can't believe that she lived for nearly 2 centuries. He's having a headache, and even the Emperor is surprised seeing the child so distraught. Isaac thinks his life is actually ruined if his lifelong enemy is alive and well. He's going to get eviscerated the second she uncovers his true identity as the Skeleton King. He really doesn't want a piece of her at his age, so he pulls out the only move at his disposal. Isaac chooses the Imperial family, and such cuteness that even he is swooned. Riley tries to play his cards and defends that Isaac is just being friendly, but the Emperor is adamant in raising him as his own, as the Imperial family's got plenty of privileges for the child to offer. The Joshua family is known for its Sanuses, but they don't have experience actually raising saints. The boy is eventually going to become a demon slayer exorcist, which is why Relia argues that the Joshuas are more fitting of his caliber. They're literally pulling a 1-year-old apart from each end, arguing like children while Isaac is about to get sacrificed in this funny scene. Bro is literally hanging on and really wants to become a part of the Imperial family to save himself. He strongly believes that the Emperor is his best bet, as he offers the most security for his life. So the boy turns to the Emperor and chooses him again. In the next scene, the annoying bishop comes before his cult, still convinced that the boy belongs to the demonkind. His masters are upset hearing his whinings. They merely can't accept the ridiculous idea that the power of light was channeled by a demonic child. The bishop mentions the use of mana, and that he saw it before his eyes. But the Sancticetes group has already made up its mind. They waste no efforts in slicing his head clean, deeming it as a punishment for his blasphemous claims. The leader is uninterested in leading an attack squad, believing that the Emperor is going to take Isaac anyway. And then, they'll have more than enough chances to deal with the boy. Only this time, they'll make it personal that he dies. Meanwhile, Isaac learns that he ended up getting taken by the Joshua family. Let's recap what happened a few days earlier. A beam of light distracted them all, while Relia surprisingly gave up ownership over their child, stating that it would be an unworthy place for Isaac to grow up in. Also, it's here he comes to learn that the Joshua family actually possesses the damn corpse of the Skeleton King. His precious body has been snatched and mentioned so late. All of a sudden, Isaac grabs Riley's finger, switching up his plans, and this time aiming to go with the Joshua family. His adorable smile is enough to swoon the older brother. And that's how he ended up pairing with Tay, Joshua family, instead of the royal one. It's not the best thing ever as he's getting dragged to the military just to try his best on stealing his previous body. That body of his was refined with mana to the point that it challenged even the strength of gods. If he can retrieve it safely, he's going to be on the top of the world again. Also, he's never seen the light of desire to survive shine at an alarming rate. It came from Riley, which means he's being signaled that the Joshua family is somehow a better chance at his survival. Still, there are questions regarding the Pope's forces specifically targeting Isaac, something even he has no clue about. Turns out there was a recent prophecy from the gods, which stated that a saint will become the child of the gods. That also implies that Isaac is in line to become the next pope, which is bad news for the Barrett family. It's the kind of development that the Skeleton King seriously wasn't expecting. The Pope is supposed to be the strongest cleric, the only one capable of using 10th rank holy spells. This dude is equal to the status of a king with his own army of holy knights. For millennia, the Barrett family has produced popes, which makes sense that they're going bat-shit crazy that a saint from the Joshua family is about to take their place. Suddenly, the coachman comes to inform Rely that they've run into a problem. A certain group of men are restricting access to the duchy. Enraged, Rely howls at them for not recognizing the crest of the Joshua family. This evil group actually turned out to be demonic and evil, and their purpose is to eliminate the child of the saintess at all cost. Isaac certainly wasn't expecting his life to take yet another turn and questions what the FK is wrong with the new Demon King. The Demonkind forces warn them about their mighty king's orders to slay saints and saintesses on the spot. This confirms his suspicions that a new king has usurped the Skeleton King's previous orders, and that is why they are required to kill the saint at all cost. Not knowing that they're targeting their very own demon lord from the past. They're happy to spare their lives as long as they surrender the child. But to that, Rely thunderbolts one of them to ashes. Pissed that they could say such words against an exorcist of Joshua. Pointing his blade, Rely declares that the Joshua household will not rest until all evil beings are vanquished from this world. He and the rest of his group prepare their swords, ready to send the demons back to freaking hell. As for the Skeleton King, Rely is amused at the thought of him using his mere underlings to seize his body. The Demonkind monsters attempt to strike them down after being provoked. To guarantee the young master's safety, Isaac is escorted by one of the guards away from the battlefield. He's baffled to hear what happened just now. If he's the Skeleton King, then who's the new guy impersonating his identity? Isaac is placed in a bush and protected by a barrier. It's such a powerful barrier that high-ranking demons won't be able to penetrate. Isaac's glad that nothing can jeopardize his safety, but it also implies he's stuck on the inside for good. So he aims to correct that by activating his magic release. Bro meditates into the cosmos like some galactic, overpowered baby and calls forth the one who watches. This demonic spirit appears to greet its master, but Isaac quiets him down so he doesn't blow things up. The spirit is eager to serve his master after being called after a long time. This is actually supposed to be a detection spell, but it bears a conscience of its own. He was made for the purpose of detecting magic and painful analysis. The spirit congratulates the Skeleton King for successfully manipulating and taking control of the body of a child. He thinks Bro willingly chose to get stuck inside a baby's body because he's just that evil. The spirit is enraged that they trapped him in a powerful barrier and brought insult to his master. Isaac's done with his bannering and tells him to activate his detection magic at once. The demon spirit begins scouting within 100 meters, sensing a total of 88 enemy monsters. They're weak as shit compared to Isaac though, but he's worried that such a number is crazy for a battle like this. It's going to get difficult for him if the security for this territory becomes tightened, as it will pose trouble to Isaac's own forces in the future. That's why he wants to end this fight quickly before getting caught. So now, he's risking to activate every last bit of his mana for a single move. Interestingly, he learns that the enemy numbers are getting obliterated at an alarming rate. There are only 31 left, and then reduced to 13. Isaac wonders what's going on. In the battlefield, only 4 Demonkind soldiers remain while Rely is made alert of an incoming monster. The Demonkind soldiers are happy to have been joined by a powerful ally as they can now kill the saint. To everyone's surprise, Demonkind soldier, which leads to the destruction of all the Demonkind soldiers there. The Shadow Lich, the same demon who attacked Isaac before, has arrived. And this monster is as pissed as ever that the Demonkind bastards tried hurting his master. You see, from their previous encounter, the Shadow Lich already knows about Isaac's identity. That's exactly the troublesome part for our little murder machine. The Shadow Lich is adamant in protecting its master, insulted by the fact that his king was trapped inside the body of a child. Isaac managed to free him after all, so now he's suddenly loyal to the guy. The monster stares at Joshua's line of defenses. Even Rely is confused as to what's going on. The humans were thankfully unable to understand his language. Otherwise, Isaac would be getting slaughtered here. The Shadow Lich has figured out his identity, and while that is commendable, it has compelled the human forces to target the Shadow Lich. The baby cries out from the barrier, catching the attention of the knights. He promises to return to Isaac soon, And for the Shadow Lich, this dude is swooning in affection that his master recognized him. The Shadow Lich ignores all of them and targets Isaac. But Riley and his men don't understand that the Shadow Lich means no harm to the child. He's just pissed that they sealed him in a tiny barrier. Meanwhile, Isaac instructs the demon to break the barrier, which it shatters with a king smash, fulfilling the king's order. With the barrier penetrated, Riley and his men are losing their shit. But Isaac is having the time of his life, reuniting with the Shadow Lich. Next, he actually double-crosses the Shadow Lich by sealing him inside the totem, much to his disappointment and confusion. Seeing this feat being performed by a damn child, Riley is questioning what the hell just happened. They just witnessed the boy turning a high demon into a totem. Shortly after his accomplishment, the knights praise him in glory for having used a holy spell. In reality, the kid used mana to seal the Shadow Lich. But Riley doesn't know that. He just thinks that a high-level holy spell was casted and yet no power leaked out. They think the young master acted out of urgency of the situation, believing that Isaac was the most threatening force to the Shadow Lich at the time. They sing praises of the young master's glory and his future as a saint. But Riley is troubled in deep thought, not knowing why the demonkind forces are targeting the child. At this rate, he knows that something is special about this boy, but it's the fact that Isaac is a child that bothers him. Riley configures his thoughts and strengthens his resolve. The leader of the Blue Division wants to protect Isaac's future with his life. This is great news to Riley, who realizes that he's been naive all along. He was afraid of the Skeleton King's curse, but this boy seems destined to raise the honor of the Joshua family name. He grabs the boy and promises to teach the kid lots of things to become an incredible holy knight. Isaac happily smiles, but on the inside, he's secretly plotting his objective to retrieve his original body. Riley promises to protect him no matter how short his life is, spreading the boy's name across the continent. Isaac wants him to rewind to the part where he mentioned the shortness of his life. Anyway, let's skip ahead to Joshua Duchy, Isaac's safe haven, which is decorated with beauty all over the place. Isaac feeling betrayed that these guys are actually living the wealthiest damn life imaginable. When back at his place, the demonkind was starved for resources. He had to assume responsibility for them and keep them well fed. The detection spell even confirms that even a few of these sculptures are worth 10 Demon King castles. Riley places the boy in his tiny casket. The Joshua residence is the hallmark place where demon-slaying warriors came to existence. He wants the boy to gaze outside at the knights' training, as he will one day become just like them. Meanwhile, these very knights are actually beating the shit out of the Demon King's mannequin. Bro is out here realizing that he's seriously fucked if they found out about his identity. Still, his main purpose remains the same. He's going to burn the Emperor alive and soon take over the Joshua Duchy. Even the detection spell thinks he's being petty for holding a grudge against kids. The spirit gets to work and interestingly locates a bunch of mana cores scattered all over the place. This is great news for Isaac. Riley arrives at his place and commands his servants to prepare his room for Isaac as well. One of the butlers apologizes for mentioning new orders. Apparently, Riley is to guide the young master to the annex. It turns out that the fifth young master displays a deep grudge against Isaac and has issued orders against him. Riley is seriously annoyed that Isaac is supposed to be kept where a person met their own end. Their conflict just now makes Isaac happy to see that the Joshua family is in shambles on the inside. Riley doesn't understand his brother's intentions. At first, Isaac strongly opposes the idea himself. But that's when his convenient detection spell reminds him that there are many mana cores resting in Annex as well. Riley is firm in his decision and doesn't want to take the kid to that haunting place. The baby whines because Riley wants to read him some holy scriptures as bedtime stories. Isaac is getting tortured in his own family. As Riley is taking him away, the fifth young master shows up with an arrogant attitude, reminding his orders of sending the boy to the annex. This bitch faces Gaul Joshua, the fifth son of the family. Just one sight of this dude is enough for Isaac to conclude that he's your average delinquent. This guy doesn't even regard the boy as a person. He calls him a mere thing instead of recognizing him as the descendant of the family. Riley strongly opposes Gaul, while Isaac is almost convinced that this new clown is also a part of a group that despises him for some reason. This bitch faces Gaul Joshua, the fifth son of the family. Just one sight of this dude is enough for Isaac to conclude that he's your average delinquent. This guy doesn't even regard the boy as a person. He calls him a mere thing instead of recognizing him as the descendant of the family. Riley strongly opposes Gowl, while Isaac is almost convinced that this new clown is also a part of a group that despises him for some reason. Then again, Isaac is of the same opinion that he should go into the annex instead of wasting time hearing bedtime stories. Gowl insults the kid to the point Isaac doesn't get why he's beefing with a damn 1-year-old. It's insane levels of petty coming from him. Anyway, Isaac has decided to go to the annex and acquire some mana cores. Relia disagrees and counters that people will think of the boy as cursed if they send him there. All of a sudden, Isaac realizes he's making a fucking mistake. His intention was to suck the man of cores dry and then become the saint and the pope on top of that. Then finally, he would be able to take revenge against the gods. Gowl points out how a demon specifically came to target the child, which means he's probably already cursed. The leader of the Blue Division counters that it was Isaac's involvement that led to the demon's defeat. They all mention his special saintly powers, but Gowl is unfazed and doesn't give a shit. He calls the baby a pile of garbage, continually upsetting the boy as the argument goes on. The detection spell even thinks that Isaac should sneakily rain down a bunch of meteors on this guy's, asked to teach him a lesson. Gowl is okay with them calling the Joshua descendant a saint, but he wants to politely remind them of the family crest. He thinks it would be useful to get the child to revive the one thing that their Lord loves dearly. The holy tree died thanks to the mana of the powerful demons. Gowl believes that the boy should be capable of reviving the tree if he truly does possess powers of a saint. He's provoking Relia, who thinks the guy has gone crazy. Isaac is convinced that Melissa left behind some psychopathic descendants behind her back. At first her son went missing, and her second son ended up being adopted. Isaac suddenly spots something that catches his eye and literally throws his damn detection spirit at it. The dead tree has been resting for 70 years, and yet Gowl ridiculously expects a mere child to revive it instantly. Both of them are interrupted when they catch sight of the holy tree, now filled with life and as full as ever. It really did come back to life, leaving Gowl stuttering for words. Isaac doesn't even think it was a big deal. He just had the spirit suck all the bad mana from it, leaving it full of life. Realized men are stumped, and he's astonished. They all think it was a baby again. They're all celebrating in joy after seeing him perform yet another miraculous feat. Gowl, on the other hand, still thinks that it's ridiculous that a mere child pulled off something unimaginable. No one in their family was able to do anything, and yet this mere boy revived the tree. First it was exorcism, but now it's purification too. Gowl strongly accuses his brother of messing with him, believing that Riley somehow possesses help of the Saintess and deliberately acted out a scene. Gowl's strong accusations cause the conflict to escape even further. Isaac is left wondering that Melissa's household is in need of serious therapy because these guys are all crazier than even the demons. Gowl, for some reason, doesn't even look like Melissa. They suspect that he must be a half-brother of some kind. His appearance kind of fits the bill for the Pope. Gowl is as enraged as ever, howling at real life for perpetrating a scene, even though they've already got a saint candidate among the Joshua family. This is surprising news to the boy, because he just came to learn that there's a competitor against him. Clearly, Gowl is supporting the other candidate. Isaac wonders if the second candidate is just as foolish as these clowns. Relia helps talk some sense to his brother, reminding him of the kid's importance and his right to lead the house. But Gowl only smears his first brother's name, calling him a coward and a wimp for running away. Isaac is now being treated like a bastard child among the Joshuas, which is honestly the least surprising thing about this family. Gowl accuses him of being a half-blood and lays out a haunting theory. He thinks Isaac isn't necessarily their brother's son even, as his face only matches the description of the Saintess only. To this, Relia gets immensely pissed and chucks a fist in his face. A well-deserved punch for baseless accusations. Isaac is just enjoying them fighting each other, when really it's just a one-sided massacre with Relia bullying and beating the shit out of Gowl. It's the perfect setting as it makes things easier for him to conquer in the future. He's already wishing the worst upon this household, but the demon spirit politely reminds him that he will also go down if the entire house falls, so it's not exactly the best idea. In the next scene, Isaac plays the part of what he is supposed to be, a damn baby. He's out here looking like a potato, sitting amongst the most important members of the family. They're all in strong opposition, and against the kid, up until the acting matriarch, Hina Joshua, orders them to be silent. She lays out her decision to raise the child in a minor house away from the main attention. She inquires why he brought the child here in the first place. The woman is expressing open hostility, which is enough to confirm to Isaac where her loyalty lies. As for Gowl and his broken nose, he's as bitchless and smug as ever. Relia begins by dodging the question and pointing out that his father isn't around to make the decision. Hina expresses that he's out of the city to deal with the Saint candidate situation. Relia drops the bombshell on everyone by revealing the incredible feat of Isaac Joshua, the boy who revived the holy tree. Gowl and the others are stunned. He even tries to bring it down. The rest of the members also agree that not even the patriarch could figure out a solution to the tree. So the doings of the boy make no sense. Hina naturally agrees with them too, and quickly points out the lack of evidence. Isaac is done playing around and decides to whip out some proof for them to enjoy. He unleashes magic that shocks everyone at the table, showcasing to them the energy of the holy tree in the form of a crystal. Riley must be thinking this kid is the perfect storm of chaos and greatness. Isaac's face just says it all. He's giving these elders the absolute runaround. Like, seriously, the kid's pulling off feats that even the old folks can't wrap their heads around. He just casually drained the mana from the holy tree like it was nothing. People are shook, but they're trying to keep a straight face as they process what happened. Gowl, though, is losing his mind. He can't fathom how this baby could have done something so impossible. He's got a point, I mean, come on. But Riley is all in for Isaac, defending him like he's his personal champion. The kid did it instinctively, Riley says, which is just too much. This is a huge flex for Isaac, but also, how is this even happening? Gowl is not having it. He's up in arms, calling all of this nonsense. The whole situation is just blowing his mind, especially when he points at Isaac, who's just chilling like the most badass 1-year-old ever. Isaac isn't even trying to be a show-off. He's just doing his thing while the adults have an aneurysm over his existence. Then Riley starts pushing for Isaac to become the next saint, or even pope if he puts in the effort. Isaac's like, sure, whatever, until he hears the mention of the Skeleton King. That's when he's like, nope, I'm out. It's too much even for him. And the elders are listening closely. Their arch-nemesis is on the table now. Hina, though, is over here thinking Riley is digging his own grave with all this talk. Then things get even more interesting. Hina suggests testing Isaac's powers using the divine relic storage, and that's when everything hits a whole new level. It's a serious test, and the patriarch's got some resistance to it because he knows how dangerous it is. But then, surprise, surprise, Melissa rolls in, and she's all about it. She's not fazed by the risk of a kid from another family stealing something. She's seen it all. Melissa, though, has a bit of a larger plan. She's thinking if this kid can pull off the impossible, then he might just be the one to finally take down the Skeleton King for good. So, she throws in a reward, a pretty big one too. The best treasure in the divine relic storage, plus the Zhou Shao family's generation heirloom. A pretty sweet deal if Isaac pulls through. But before we get to the details of the divine relic storage, it's good to know that this place is a vault of secrets, protected for thousands of years by Sanuses. The Joshua family has held on to it for generations, and only kids under 10 get to set foot inside. It's an honor to even get a shot at it, and now Isaac's stepping into some major territory. Isaac's facing off against an obstacle course of pure madness, and this kid's got his work cut out for him. With all these power-hungry candidates eyeing the divine relic storage, it's clear no one's going to hold back. The stakes are high, and Isaac's got one hell of a mission ahead, getting his previous body back from this crazy vault. So, the captain of the Blue Division gives Isaac the 411. 5 candidates from each major household will step up, but they all know the odds are stacked against them. Isaac's pretty sure he's got this in the bag, though. He's relieved to have distractions to deal with, and he's thinking those will make his hunt for the Skeleton King much easier. Riley, ever the worried big brother, isn't having any of that. He's got all these warnings, dangers lurking inside the storage, demon spirits from the battlefield, and some serious threats. Isaac, being the cocky little guy he is, brushes it off. They'll be weak, he thinks. One attack and done. But then Riley drops the bombshell. Isaac's going up against 8th-ranked demons. Oh, and did he mention the 9th-ranked dragon? A freaking dragon inside a storage meant for little kids to level up in? Yeah, Isaac's eyes widen, and the demon spirit inside him can't stop laughing. This family is out of their minds. But Isaac? He's terrified. He starts biting his nails, full-on sweating bullets. Why? Because Isaac's history with dragons is complicated. He's scammed and sold them in the past, and now, those same dragons bear a grudge. They'll recognize his soul on sight. The demon spirit thinks Isaac's toast, like maybe it's time for a new master? But Isaac's not going down without a fight. He might be a baby, but he's got a plan. He knows he can't take on 9th-ranked demons with his current strength, so the best bet is to grab those mana cores from the annex, cue the shift in Isaac's plan. Capture the mana cores, get stronger. But let's be real, the kid's more deranged than ever. His fear is written all over his face, but he's also studying up on how to slay the Skeleton King in every possible way. If only he could wield holy power, he'd be unstoppable. But that's out of the question. Using holy magic would make him a target for the demons. Meanwhile, the demon spirit's got a whole other agenda. Isaac needs to stay on course, focus on the annex. But Isaac's distracted by all this holy magic theory nonsense. Riley, realizing the kid's burning out, swoops in with a plan. He casts a regeneration spell on Isaac, giving him a full recovery. Isaac, now fully rested, is hyped. He wants more attack spells too. But Riley's still got his priorities straight. They need to get through the obstacles first before anything else. Isaac's got his hands full, but the journey to become the strongest is about to get even crazier. So he sleeps with Oscar-worthy acting and convinces Riley that the child is impressive at sleeping as well. They fell for an obvious spell like that. Even the demon spirit can't believe that the Joshuas are so naive. Isaac comes to his senses when he hears a nest about the totem. They want to keep it safe somewhere, which is bad news because Isaac requires it for resurrection. Poor dude is crying his eyeballs out, devastated that he doesn't even have access to his mana core anymore. At this point, he's convinced that he'll have to use the mana from the cores in the annex. He executes Mission Impossible 10 and attempts to crawl his way out. Isaac signals the spirit to open the door because he's got a plan. As for his mission, Isaac hits the ground and learns that Riley locked the door on his way out with a holy spell. It makes things more hectic. Isaac orders him to break the spell, but then it will draw attention. He's seriously annoyed that things aren't going his way, and if he intervenes with his own magic, there will be hell to explain. Right as he's thinking of another plan, Bro gets hit with the damn door. One of the kids surprisingly came to pay him a visit. This brat is the son of Gaul, a 5-year-old called Shuri, and this dude is supposed to be his rival for the Saint candidate spot. Shuri is pissed that a mere baby could do something beyond his level of genius. He emphasizes that he'll be the one to become the Saint candidate no matter what. Once again, Bro is beefing with a 1-year-old. All Isaac has to do is shove a mallet against his face, figuring out his transport vehicle for his destination. Shuri winces in pain, while the tiny murder machine wants to pay him back dearly for attempting to attack him. He beats the shit out of Shuri, smacking him again and again until he's forced to cast a barrier. Isaac is actually surprised that he could cast a holy barrier magic. Shuri then activates a 3rd-rank attack magic, aiming to obliterate the 1-year-old, which is just crazy to me. Isaac thinks it's all impressive before he casts an even bigger barrier to prevent the attack. Shuri can't believe his eyes. A mere 1-year-old is casting insane levels of magic without any training. It's him on the ropes now, as Isaac has just learned his first attack spell on top of that. He points to Shuri to unleash his attack and witnesses the scene in complete joy. The demon spirit understands that he's enjoying bullying a child, but reminds him that killing a Joshua descendant isn't the wisest idea. But Isaac knows that, which is why none of the attacks actually struck Shuri. Embarrassed, he howls at the kid for scaring him. Shuri talks shit against the kid until the damn Shadow Lich manifests in response to Shuri laying a single finger against his master. Shuri gets on his knees and begs for his life, completely terrified that the baby's got a really scary bodyguard to protect him. Isaac stares at Shuri like a villain, ordering the brat to become his transport vehicle and carry him. The brown-haired boy, Shuri Joshua, is just 5 years old and the son of Gaul Joshua, who holds a deep grudge against our protagonist. Though he's a saint candidate, Shuri secretly yearns to escape the cursed Joshua household and dreams of one day becoming a pope. As the scene transitions, our little toddler, the former Demon King, is seen riding on Shuri's back. Using his milk bottle as a makeshift direction indicator, he orders Shuri to take him to the annex immediately. Annoyed by being treated like a horse, Shuri grumbles, questioning why he has to put up with this ridiculous task. But before he can complain any further, Isaac's shadow, Lich, looms over him, threatening to obey the orders given. It addresses him as a little bug and advises him to focus on making it out alive rather than whining. As the scene transitions, Shuri has taken the toddler nearly to his destination. He asks, wondering aloud where he's being dragged off to at such an hour, half-jokingly wondering if he is a ghost. Suddenly, he freezes, realizing that the place he's standing in front of is none other than the Joshua residence's second annex. Shuri freaks out, claiming that it's a haunted house. He can't understand why the toddler has brought him to such a terrifying place. I'm pretty sure this is where kids should definitely have no business being. He recalls the rumors about the annex, a place known for the many lives it has claimed, which led the patriarch to forbid entry. Meanwhile, our boy and his shadow pet Whisper are scheming something dangerous. The mana levels inside are so high that they would be the equivalent of training for an entire decade. Excited, the toddler tugs on Shuri's ears, urging him to take him inside. However, his cousin resists, insisting that kids like them are definitely not allowed inside. But before he can resist much longer, the Shadow Lich reappears and scares the living daylights out of Shuri, forcing him to obey the toddler's instructions. Shuri, despite trembling with fear, reluctantly does as he's asked at gunpoint. Meanwhile, our little toddler is more focused on the inner state of the second annex, which appears even more dilapidated than it looked from the outside. His pet Whisper analyzes the entire place and informs him that the annex is shrouded in some sort of seal. Whisper further clarifies that each one of the doors is surrounded by something resembling a barrier. This revelation leaves our toddler disappointed, as he was hoping for a clear path. Meanwhile, Shuri, still panicking, insists they should leave, pointing out that everything is locked and sealed. But this is Isaac we're talking about, and as expected, the toddler refuses to give up at any cost. In frustration, he yanks on poor Shuri's poop-brown hair. After a brief pause, the two happen to notice the paintings hanging on the walls. Shuri shares with his baby master that they belong to the past patriarchs. Sensing his cousin's motivation, our boy asks if Shuri plans on going after the patriarch position too. So after he calms down a bit, the boy confidently boasts that he will undoubtedly be the next patriarch. In the meantime, Isaac comes up with a plan. Having detected barriers around the pictures, he raises his magical milk bottle, now glowing red, and uses it to break the barrier. A chill runs down Shuri's spine as he imagines the consequences, accurately predicting that he'll soon be blamed for what Isaac just did. Throwing his hands over his head, Shuri shouts at the toddler, demanding to know what he's doing to their great ancestors. Completely unfazed, Isaac simply replies that only a fool would place barriers on mere portraits. Isaac's pet informs him that the barrier has been broken, which cheers our boss's baby up. With a mischievous grin, Isaac jumps off Shuri's shoulders and rolls over to the exit like a plane doing a barrel roll. Now teeming with panic, Shuri shouts after him, asking where the heck the little runt is going off to after making such a mess. Upon reaching the door, Isaac commands Whisper to lock it, leaving the poor 5-year-old Shuri alone outside. Shuri shouts at Isaac, wondering what he's doing. But our tyrannical toddler just waves him off, saying that a mere child like him doesn't need to know. Ignoring Shuri's protests, Isaac sits down and begins his ritual of absorbing mana. Shuri, on the other hand, has had enough. He demands that Isaac leave the room or he'll tell the adults about everything, warning him that he'll be branded a traitor. As soon as he bangs on the door, he feels a sense of impending doom. It turns out the adults have already found their way to him, looking for the two kids. Seeing the adults approaching, Shuri thinks it's the perfect time to complain about Isaac. But before he can as much as utter a word, his whining is abruptly cut short by an old geezer who bursts in, furious. The elder scolds Shuri for entering the forbidden place, no matter what his reasons are. Shuri's face pales as the old woman scolds him for acting so immature and bringing a toddler along with him. She accuses him of being reckless, reminding him that many people have seen him carrying the little boy on his back. Then, she asks if the traces of holy magic she found in Isaac's room were all his doing. Shuri, caught off guard by the inquiries, can't find the words to defend himself. After all, no one would believe that it was all the work of a mere toddler. His silence only deepens the suspicion. Uncle Riley steps forward and rests his hand on Shuri's shoulder with a serious expression. He berates the boy, emphasizing that he's gone too far this time. In a calmer tone, he accuses Shuri of harassing a toddler who hasn't even stopped drinking his mother's milk. The uncle in shining armor then knocks on the door, asking Isaac if he is inside. This legend is actually asking a newborn if he got locked in. Anyway, when the door opens, they find our boy sitting inside wailing and seemingly petrified. The old lady quickly approaches him, deeply concerned about the little toddler left all alone, pitying the terrified poor thing. With his frustration reaching its peak, Shuri watches Isaac with growing rage and is unable to hold back any longer. He shouts with his seething rage boiling over, demanding an explanation. The old lady notices the sudden outburst and furrows her brow, wondering what could have caused such a reaction. She wonders if it is due to the chilly weather. Meanwhile, Isaac is perched comfortably in Riley's arms, blissfully unaware of the growing tension in the room. He relishes the magic he has absorbed, clenching his tiny paws in satisfaction. You see, the sheer quantity of mana he collected to juice his powers would normally take decades to accumulate. Having gathered up this much mana, he plans on using it efficiently for what he has been intending to. The following day after the shenanigans, Uncle Riley decides it's time to take action. He arrives at Isaac's room with a lady by his side and introduces her as his assistant. The noble lady steps forward and introduces herself as Asalai Larcha. She conveniently also happens to be a holy knight from the Joshua household. Finishing up her intro, she bows gracefully before Isaac and pledges to serve him with her whole heart until her last breath. Our little toddler wonders if this is the result of the previous night's events. He puts on his best baby ghost act and asks the lady to leave his sight. The situation quickly grows a bit awkward for our boy, but she doesn't back down. Her face turns a shade of red as she shyly asks if she can pinch Isaac's cheek. Isaac can't help but wonder what this lady is up to, especially considering the strange characters that fill his household. In the meantime, Uncle Riley reaches into his inner coat pocket. He pulls out a ring and presents it to Isaac as a special gift from his uncle. The toddler looks at the simple ring and wonders if Uncle Riley fished it out of a random dumpster. After taking a closer look at its quality, our boy and his pet come to the conclusion that the Joshua household must be facing some serious crisis. However, the lady assistant catches a glimpse of the ring and asks if it happens to be the Sainus' heirloom, a treasure reserved for only a select few. Uncle Riley pats Isaac on the head, proudly sharing with him that he personally requested the item for his first birthday from the council. The toddler wonders if the ring is the real deal. As far as he can recall, this was the exact same item the Saintus used during their battle. Known as the Elder Ring, this treasure holds powers that are said to stretch beyond this world. With this newfound knowledge, our boy can't help but get excited about the holy power locked inside the ring. He knows the ring will likely break if he uses it more than twice, but as the former Skeleton King, he's already thought of a way to repair it. His doubts about whether the ring is authentic are quickly confirmed when Uncle Gowl Joshua looks at it with an expression that clearly shows jealousy. Without wasting a moment, the jealous prick steps closer to Isaac, calling him his cute little nephew. It's obvious that Uncle Gowl has ulterior motives and plans on stealing Isaac's ring. He starts by warming up to Isaac just like when he would sweet-talk his daddy when asking for something. Isaac wonders if the man has completely lost it. Meanwhile, the uncle is caught up in a situation that's much more complicated than he expected. In reality, he's the one responsible for breaking the blessing device that Isaac was supposed to receive. He made sure Isaac wouldn't get his hands on it. What he had never anticipated, though, was that Riley would go so far as to provide the Saint Tessa's heirloom as compensation. Before Isaac even touched the ring, Gowl did everything he could to convince the old lady to give it to Shuri, but all his efforts were in vain. No matter what he said or did, the old hag flatly refused, telling him not to be greedy. Gowl grinds his teeth in frustration, thinking that no one could ever understand the true value of the ring. He argues with Riley, insisting that if he really wanted to give his nephew a gift, he should have chosen something decent instead of this useless piece of junk. However, Riley seems firmly opposed to this idea and counters that the ring is anything but useless. Gowl then responds by saying that Isaac is incredibly precious to him and that he would never give him something as worthless as this. With a sly grin, He pulls out another ring and shows it to his nephew. He proudly claims that this ring is imbued with magic beyond this world and comes directly from the Holy See, also known as the Sanctus Sedis. Gowl goes on to explain that this relic is capable of storing things and is an incredibly rare item that Riley could never have gotten for Isaac. He then brings the ring close to Isaac, hoping the toddler would trade the other ring for it. But instead, the infant slaps his hand away. The toddler dismisses the new ring as just a worthless piece of junk and proudly proves Gowl wrong by declaring that he couldn't outsmart him. To emphasize his point, he even tosses the ring away, finding it utterly useless. Watching all this unfold, Riley can't help but wonder why his nephew chose the ring he gave him over the one that looked at least 1,000 times more valuable. Thrilled by Isaac's choice, Riley tosses his nephew into the air with excitement. Meanwhile, Uncle Gowl is desperately having his servants search the water for his supposed invaluable ring. The little toddler soaring in the air feels optimistic knowing they'll never find it since he cast weight magic on it. Clearly impressed by Isaac, his pet praises him for always living up to expectations. But his mood shifts when Isaac casually tells him to pick it up at dawn. Meanwhile, Uncle Gowl is in full meltdown mode, crying and shouting in frustration because his precious fortune ring is gone, and none of his men can find it. The scene shifts to Uncle Gowl slamming his fist on the table in his room, seething with frustration. He argues that the infant has no idea how expensive it was for him to acquire the storage ring. With a deep sigh, he pushes the thought aside, hoping that Isaac would never be able to use the Elder Ring properly. Gowl convinces himself that the toddler would never manage to use its power, as he would need to absorb at least 20 people's worth of holy power to do so. He laughs at the idea, convinced it's impossible for the kid. Mocking Isaac further, he predicts that not even 10 people will attend his birthday ceremony. However, the next day, things take an unexpected turn. The place is completely packed with people, around 4,000 in total. Among them are over 148 saint candidates. It turns out that all the ducal families, dozens of marquis families, and even the imperial majesty have gathered to attend the ceremony. Hearing about the overwhelming number of saint candidates, our boy feels a surge of irritation, wondering why there are so many, as if someone had just scattered them across the world like seeds in the wind. His uncle rests his chin in his hand, musing that he never expected such a massive crowd to gather here. As he tries to make sense of why so many people have shown up, his bestie, Count Simonage, suddenly appears. Without wasting a second, he asks what brought Simon here. With a grin, Simon explains that the rumor has spread far and wide, and there was no way he could miss out on something this big. Barrett goes on questioning how Riley could have possibly kept him confined to his house after everything the head of the Joshua household has risked. With a smirk, he drops another bombshell. The Pope's own family will be attending the ceremony. The toddler's uncle scoffs at the idea, calling it ridiculous since there is no way the Pope's family would bother showing up. Simon, however, doesn't hold back, throwing out a harsh truth about how deeply they detest commoners. His words hang heavy in the air. But before he can say more, Riley urgently warns him to keep his voice down, reminding him that even walls have ears. Simon sees no reason to hold back, especially now that even his own kid, Armin, has been chosen as a saint candidate. Yet Riley still urges him to watch his words carefully. As their argument heats up, an unsettling presence creeps in. Bishop Barrett arrives without a sound, sending a wave of unease through the room. With a smug grin, he wastes no time mocking Riley, calling him weak and unworthy. The idea that someone like him could pull off such a grand event seems laughable in his eyes. His gaze then shifts to Riley's family, his words dripping with scorn. He wonders aloud whether the saint candidate has what it takes to bring any real honor to their name. Across the lands, it is common knowledge that boys of the esteemed Joshuas may have enchanting looks, yet they are seen as utterly useless. This reputation persists because others frequently seek to drain their power and win the favor of the Barrett family's popes by undermining these unfortunate children. A long-standing custom among outsiders involves slipping poisoned milk bottles into their hands under the guise of harmless pranks. The intent is clear. Lacing a baby's juice with a blend of toxins, including holy poison, is a surefire way to cripple his sacred power. This cruel trick usually turns innocent infants into tragic warnings for others. But this time the outcome is anything but The children watching are left in stunned silence. Our hero is guzzling the poison-laced bottles as if they are nothing more than a refreshing drink. Each time he finishes one, he looks to the creeped-out saint candidates for more. He goes beyond simply drinking the poison. He terrorizes the saint candidates by hurling empty bottles at them, pushing them to the brink of tears. The children stand frozen in disbelief as their own peers terrorized by the tyrannical baby. Their whispers grow frantic as they try to make sense of the madness. He isn't even breaking a sweat after chugging an entire bottle spiked with diarrhea meds. One by one, their spirits crumble, realizing that not a single drop of poison has managed to faze the almighty baby. Amidst the growing despair, Shuri, the family's treasured heir, finds the whole thing utterly humiliating. The family's pride is rendered utterly powerless against a baby. His frustration boils over, and he suddenly snatches the bottle from our hero's grasp, demanding to know if he is really that thirsty. But instead of more poison, he hands over a bottle of clean water. Yet the almighty baby is unimpressed. Poison is what fuels him, and plain water is of no use. Without hesitation, he hurls the bottle straight at Shuri's face before turning to another boy, practically pleading for poison water. One of them hesitates, his hands shaking at the mere thought. Handing over water laced with holy poison feels like delivering a death sentence. But before he can pull away, our hero strikes without warning and enters into a fight for the magic juice. The others' whispers grow frantic as they try to make sense of the madness. They wonder if the monstrous baby already unlocked the fabled detoxification magic. Their delusion spirals further, making some believe the tyrannical baby isn't a menace, but a hero in disguise protecting them from the poison. Before they can dwell on the thought any longer, a sudden presence sweeps through the room, stealing all attention in an instant. A white-haired boy enters with a face exuding confidence as he dismisses the absurd notion. The very idea that a mere toddler could be self-sacrificial is nonsensical. Shuri jolts upright and is confused why Kenna Barrett, of all people, is here. Even he had caught no rumors of the Pope's very own son joining the trial. All the boys fall into stunned silence, their eyes locked onto the white-haired legend. The question lingers why he wants the Saintess's relics. A wave of resignation washes over the candidates as realization dawns. If Kenna Barrett has entered the trial, then there is no point in even trying. Unamused, our hero eyes the pompous boy as practically destined to become the saint, though something feels off. Every Barrett is born with hair the color of dung, so the sight of this one Snow White makes him wonder if it's bleached. Before this thought can settle, the Barrett boy flashes a cheeky grin, brushing off any doubts. With unwavering confidence, he claims that his participation is perfectly justified. Since the Pope reigns over all, even the Saintess's relic storage ultimately belongs to his family. His laughter rings through the room, carrying the arrogance of someone who sees himself as untouchable. To him, this is merely reclaiming what is rightfully his. Sipping his water, our smug baby watches the display with amusement over the boy's giant ego. Yet underneath all that bravado lies something genuinely impressive. He is rather surprised to discover Kenna's immense holy power reserves that surpass the bishop by a landslide. With a dramatic flair, Kenna goes on to condemn everyone's behavior, shaming them for the sheer disrespect of poisoning their own host. When he asks what tormenting a baby achieves, all the Runshare fall into silence. As our hero steps forward, he hears the claim that the poor baby can't detoxify poison. Rather, the Saintess's miraculous power saves him. My guy wonders if they're all born with a lack of common sense. The golden boy, eager to play the role of the gracious savior, casts his detoxifying spell. He steals the attention of all the candidates with his advanced magic. But our hero has had enough of watching this spoiled kid show off. With a swift motion, he drives his tiny fist right into Keena's face. One of the boys gasps in surprise, noticing Keena's holy power vanishes in an instant. The Barrett boy stands there in shock, unable to comprehend what just happened. Our hero slips from his grasp, leaving the Wunderkind thinking how a toddler managed to nullify his magic. For a brief moment, the boy starts to wonder if someone might actually be stronger than him. Watching our smug baby crawl away, Keena curses under his breath. Not fond of the rich kid's stare, our almighty baby fires back with a death glare and readies himself to bash his head in. Before he can strike, Shuri throws himself into the chaos, determined to keep Isaac from ruining his reputation any further. The Barrett boy lingers with a scornful gaze, while everyone else trembles at the thought of how the Pope's family might retaliate for the attack. Pinned down by Shuri's full weight, our hero finds himself unable to land another hit on the Pope's smug son. Deciding that fighting a baby is beneath him, Kina turns away with an air of arrogance. He tosses out a parting remark, wishing our boy luck and challenging him to at least make an effort to restore his family's reputation. The tyrannical toddler fights the urge to explode with rage, though most of his restraint comes from the simple fact that he's still trapped in Shuri's grip. With one final smug piece of advice, Kina arrogantly declares that he will claim the highest treasure, the skeleton king's body. After all, a puny Joshua runt can't even get close to it. Even Shuri is fed up with the flashy nuisance, but our hero isn't satisfied. So he jostles his cousin back and forth to confirm what Kina meant. Unfamiliar with baby knees, the boy crouches in confusion as he's shaken back and forth. Suddenly his eyes widen in shock as he remembers something. Melissa promised to teach her secret technique to whoever brings back the Skeleton King's remains. The realization hits our hero like a ton of bricks. He curses his mother for putting a bounty on his majestic bony body. After a while, the chaos finally settles and all the saint candidates gather waiting for the trial to begin. Bored out of his mind, our hero drifts into memories of his glory days as the Skeleton King, when his body was packed with centuries of mana. All he wishes for now is to regain that power, but the greedy kids around him have become a barrier to that. The agitated baby flings his bottle aside, ready to crush anyone who dares block his path. Shuri shudders upon seemingly understanding his intentions. Just then, a robed man from the Holy Seas steps forward, instructing the candidates to follow his orders. Gathering the kids together, he begins a long, drawn-out history lecture. Our almighty baby is unimpressed, seeing it as a pointless waste of time, and decides to leave on his own. Shuri tries to stop him, but with just a flick of his tiny foot, our hero blasts off faster than a cannonball. The loud boom draws everyone's attention, and Shuri stands there utterly baffled, unsure what to think. Meanwhile, our hero activates the spell he recently learned, High-Speed Stride, to zip right into the restricted zone. The history teacher frantically shouts at the almighty baby to stop, warning that the area is filled with traps. It takes a moment for everyone to process the situation before an all-out chase begins for the supersonic baby. Meanwhile, in the Joshua Mansion's banquet hall, a concerned Ezile expresses her worry about our hero. It seems everyone has gathered around a magical globe, watching the trial unfold. The commentator announces that they've tapped into the interior with familiars that track each candidate's movements in real time. Relai and the other nobles are taken aback when they hear that the first door has already opened. To their surprise, in third place is Armin, the son of Relai's loudmouth friend. Then there's Shuri Joshua, who comes in second. The announcer pauses dramatically before revealing the frontrunner, and shouts our boy's name loud and clear, stunning everyone in the room. The magic orb shows a baby tearing through a trap-filled chamber, the church employee hot on his heels. The old man runs as fast as he can, terrified that the toddler will get himself killed. But a misstep from Shuri triggers one of the traps, and the poor elder is caught in its wake. Some of the candidates start crying for their parents, while others rush, hoping it ends soon. The wailing Shuri curses his crazy cousin for causing chaos from the very start. He pleads with our hero to stop triggering the traps, but the supersonic baby refuses to listen to the loser. With that, he reaches the door to the second trial. As smug as ever, Whisper boasts that he's evolved thanks to all the mana they've gathered in the annex. But our boy gladly replies that's great since now he can work even harder. With a simple wave of his tiny noodle arm, he commands his familiar to fetch his mount. The ghost advances toward the exhausted kids, grumbling about how difficult it's been. While they chat, one of the kids points to Shuri, wondering how the Joshua kid is able to fly. The jealous kids start grumbling, convinced that his family secretly taught him the cool trick. In his mind, the boy has already submitted to his fate, while Whisper has a blast floating his body around. The demon ghost effortlessly carries the boy like a drone, dropping him face down beside its master. A weeping Shuri curses his cousin, begging him to stop his antics. He tries to reason with our hero, advising that despite getting lucky in the trial of choice, One wrong move in the second trial can be fatal. As Shuri continues his lecture about how the trial forces one to face his fears, the almighty baby zaps him. Irritated by his incessant yammering, after having fun, he commands his cousin to explain the second trial again. Barely holding it together, he stresses that the worst mistake one can make is attacking their enemy. Our boy just stares at him, as if silently asking why he just sit there and do nothing. Shuri explains that the test of patience requires them to sit still for just 3 minutes in the face of their fear. If they fail, both of them will kick the bucket. Unimpressed by the cliché test, our demon king casually strolls toward the gates. Despite Shuri's repeated warnings, he enters the trial nonchalantly, sure that it's an easy win. As soon as he touches the doors, they glow in response. A voice welcomes him, clearly instructing him to remain calm no matter what. Isaac's big, bubbly eyes sparkle with excitement. Meanwhile, at the very back of the line, Kinna and his lackeys are chilling. One of them asks if it's okay for them to be so slow, considering their last. With a shrewd smirk, the Barrett boy replies that they don't need to take the hard route when they can just let the others be their meat shields. Calm as a cucumber, he restores their spirit by reminding them that an 8-ranked demon guards the second storage, so the others will undoubtedly get stuck there. Grinning confidently, his words come true as he points toward the brilliant light on the other side of the doors. As the trial begins, everyone is taken aback by the handsome deity who appears and warmly advises them to maintain their composure. But before the deity can finish, our impatient hero floods him with holy power, instantly burning him to the ground. Shuri loses it, cursing himself for even thinking his cousin could last 3 seconds, let alone minutes. The frustrated cries of the boys echo down the hallway. But even more furious is our boy, who can't help but reflexively want to annihilate any deity he lays eyes on. Whisper jokes that lasting 3 seconds is quite impressive for his boss. The voice announces they failed, and the impatient ones will face divine retribution. With that, a colossal golem slams open the gates. The earth-shaking roar of the golem sends Shuri into a panic, but the almighty baby remains unfazed, too busy charging up his magical Kamehameha. Without wasting a single breath, he unleashes the red beam that slices through the golem like a hot knife through butter. Shuri's jaw hangs open in pure bewilderment, but as the behemoth of a golem looms before them, our boy can't help but wonder what it's even doing here. But just as our hero thinks this headache is over, boom, he gets hit with an even bigger problem. This thing? This golem? Yeah, it is. He was told only 8th-ranked demons were involved, but one glance at the creature is enough for him to recognize it as one of his own creations. The summoning magic belongs to one of his 14 elite familiars. And now, the gears in his mind are turning fast. Did the Joshua family strike a deal with his subordinates? Or did his remains somehow call them here? Determined to find the truth, he strides toward the second storage, moving with pure confidence. But before Shuri can even yell at him to hold up, boom! Some loudmouth bursts onto the scene, spewing nonsense. Enter Neezer, the walking headache. With a cocky grin plastered across his face, the red-headed menace saunters out from the bushes with his lackeys trailing behind him. And of course, because he just can't help himself, he smugly thanks the Joshua brothers for doing all the dirty work. I can already tell this guy is going to be unbearable. Then, with all the confidence of a man who has no idea what's about to hit him, Neezer starts running his mouth. He tells our hero to step aside and let the real warriors handle things from here. His lackeys? They're already moving, surrounding our boy to keep him from pulling any of his nasty trap tricks like last time. And then, because of course he does, Neezer turns to Shuri, practically laughing in his face. Oh, using your cousin as bait? Have you no shame? Shuri tries to get a word in, but nope. Neezer isn't buying it. He flat out refuses to believe this so-called baby actually made it through all the traps alone. And then, oh, this part hurts. His eyes land on the ring around our hero's neck. In a flash, snatch, Neezer rips it right off and dangles it like a damn trophy. Ah, perfect. This little artifact will protect me from all the traps ahead, he declares, grinning from ear to ear like he just won the lottery. Shuri? He's visibly uncomfortable. And his cousin? Completely unbothered. No reaction. No anger. Nothing. And that, my friends, is never a good sign. Fool alert! Neezer and his squad move forward, completely oblivious to what's about to happen. With all the arrogance of a man walking straight into his own doom, the redhead loudly announces that he will claim the Skeleton King's body and become a hero of the ducal family. Kaboom! Screams, explosions, fire swallowing them whole. Knees are squat, instant toast. The moment their feet hit the next area, the place erupts in flames, turning them into a bunch of crispy idiots. Shuri? He's standing there, speechless. But our demon baby? Oh, he's thriving. Watching these loudmouths get baited straight into a firestorm? Chef's kiss. Absolute perfection. And the best part? As he rides his cousin forward, he laughs, looking back at the burning fools and thanking them for triggering all the traps for him. Absolute menace. Despite everything, our boy is still annoyed. Those damn kids have been trailing him for way too long, and their fanboying is getting out of hand. They're absolutely enchanted by the almighty baby's divine wisdom, to the point where they even blame Neezer for his own miserable fate. In their eyes, the adorable little Joshua heir would never cheat. Shuri, on the other hand, he's internally screaming at these fools to run for their lives. Do they not see the literal demon sitting on his shoulders? Just as he's about to lose it, a new challenger approaches. Enter Paris Julius. With a regal presence, the second prince of the neighboring kingdom steps forward, all dramatic-like. And of course, he just has to drop a bold statement. If there truly is a saint among us, then Isaac is the perfect representation. Oh, now that gets our baby's attention. Paris formally introduces himself, and our boy's interest is immediately piqued. Why? Because rumors say this guy is blessed by the gods. And if there's anything our hero loves, it's sniffing out interesting people. But no time for chit-chat. Shuri quickly informs the prince that they've arrived at the entrance to the third trial. Whoosh! The gates swing open, revealing a breathtaking sight. Brilliant burning orbs of light and floating, angelic guardians. Then, like the voice of fate itself, a divine proclamation echoes through the arena. The third trial will test your courage. Isaac's fanboys? Pumped. They're ready to throw hands with some celestial beings. Meanwhile, Shuri? He's standing there, stunned, because the angelic guardians just announced that only those who defeat them will be allowed to pass. Wait a minute. While the fired-up idiots rush forward, thinking they just need to act brave, our little demon king takes a step back, his genius brain working overtime. Something isn't right. And then eureka, it clicks. A devilish grin stretches across his tiny face. They're lying. The almighty baby immediately signals for his fanboys to stand down. But Shuri? He's still deep in thought. Isaac's judgment has never failed before. And in the last 2 trials, didn't he succeed by doing the exact opposite of what was expected? This is the trial of remembrance. Shuri pieces it together. The key isn't to fight the gatekeepers, it's to recall the lessons from the previous trials. Fully confident in his deduction, he does something unthinkable. Instead of charging in, he halts and guides the boys away from the guardians. His 2-legged horse? Shocked. For a brief moment, he actually thinks that the Saintess's kindness has awakened inside his cousin. Maybe, just maybe, Isaac has changed. Wrong. Before Shuri can fully enjoy his delusion, Isaac casually charges up a tiny magic bomb and chucks it straight into a guardian's back. Boom! His poor, gullible ride is left speechless, completely baffled by what just happened. Meanwhile, our little menace is cackling, watching his evil scheme unfold perfectly. The guardian? Instantly pissed. With divine wrath, the celestial being unleashes hell, an explosive strike that obliterates everything beneath it. Kaboom! The wailing boys are blasted away like they were just caught in a magical grenade explosion. Their screams fill the air as they go flying, crying out for their mommies. And as the chaos erupts, our Joshua brothers just stand there, quietly watching the absolute carnage unfold. Shuri, finally realizing just how badly he messed up, slowly turns to look at his rider, only to find a demon grinning back at him in pure satisfaction. Already one step ahead, our boy instantly recognizes the lying puppets before him. Deja vu hits hard. These frauds were also crafted by his elite familiars. Wahaha! The villainous baby lets out a maniacal laugh, soaking in the delicious irony of it all. The foolish kids are now face to face with the brutal truth. Everything they thought was real was just another dirty trick. And poor Shuri? He's sitting there, internally crying, feeling way too sorry for these helpless souls. Bruh, does anyone remember that this little menace is supposed to be a saint now? Meanwhile, up on the second floor of St. Tess's relic storage, the situation is going from bad to worse. Flames are raging at the corners, devouring everything in their path. The heat? Unbearable. The air? Thick with black smoke. It's like the entire room is slow roasting in a hellish inferno. And amidst the chaos, a bunch of kids are bawling their eyes out, panicked and lost. One of them frantically asks where the Joshua boys went. Little do they know, two ghostly figures are right there, standing next to them, completely invisible to the naked eye. Isaac's sneaky magic trick strikes again. Another kid yells that the Joshua brothers were just there a second ago. Where the hell did they go? Meanwhile, Isaac, rocking the nastiest smirk, watches the whole thing unfold like a true evil mastermind. Right beside him, Shuri, absolutely losing his mind. The poor dude is nervously jittering, practically pissing himself from the pure tension. The reveal? Isaac had casually dropped a 6th rank holy spell of invisibility on them. And why? Because his amazing uncle had gifted him this spell ages ago, specifically for emergencies. But the real kicker? This little menace saw the perfect opportunity to wing it and drag Paris Julius into his hidden ghost club. Paris, realizing what just happened, steps forward with genuine gratitude. He thanks Isaac for covering him with the spell, but Isaac just shrugs it off like it's nothing. Then, without warning, Isaac casually tosses a ring to Paris. Paris catches it, but, the dude just stands there, staring at it like it's some alien artifact. What's this for? His brain finally clicks. Paris narrows his eyes at Isaac, suspicion creeping in. Wait, you're giving me this because you can't handle a one-on-one with a demonkind? Isaac just stares at him, expression completely deadpan. Bro, duh. Paris's expression softens. And then, tears. He's actually touched, holding the ring tight. He deeply appreciates the gesture. This is a huge deal. He makes up his mind he's definitely telling his father about this moment. But then, out of nowhere, Paris lets out a blood-curdling shriek. His entire body convulses like he's being electrocuted by 1,000 volts of raw agony. The culprit? The ring. It's eerie. Crimson energy starts pulsing, draining the very life out of him. Shuri? Absolutely screaming. Dude looks like he just saw a literal ghost. His whole body is trembling like a leaf. Watching this freak show, Isaac and the vicious dark cloud crack up. The Dark Soul isn't even surprised, as he totally expected coming from his master Isaac. Besides that, Isaac figured out that Prince Paris had the most holy power. Meanwhile, Shuri glances at the sight of this pure evil, known to be Isaac. He can't believe that his uncle Relia brought this evil into their family. Stepping forward, one of the kids takes charge and tells the lot that they have to stick together. He then demands to know if anyone here is skilled in defensive holy power. A brunette steps forward, balling a golden magic in his hand. He is ready to handle the defense by using his defensive holy power first, while the other guys suggest backing him up, forming a shield against the lying puppets. Raging in, the lying puppets clearly have no patience, so they swing their wrath at the kid. They demand these wimps to accept their punishment head-on. Right then, the kid in black signals the brunette to do his thing now. Ready to blow them up? He channels the golden glow in his hand and dashes ahead at full speed. Just as he is about to unleash the defensive blow, something happens, and he drops dead on the floor. It seems like the kiddo just malfunctioned or something. The kid in black has no clue what went wrong, but he is in a panic frenzy. He asks the brunette what the heck happened, but no response. Shaking like a leaf, while the ring in flames hangs in the air near the kid in black. He doesn't know what is happening over here. Out of the blue, the same vicious ring zaps a shock, sucking the life out of him. Collapsing on his knees like a beggar, the lying puppets are inches away from slaughtering this bunch. However, this weird turn of events puts them at a halt. They have no idea what just happened to these wimps, like they strangely dropped. The lying puppet scowls, looking pretty much clueless about what's even happening. One of them even swoops up high, scanning the survivors, if any. Then, this one tosses a question at the wimps if there is anyone fallen for their lives. In the meantime, the Dark Soul maps it all together, realizing that the ring is straight up draining the holy power stored inside the kids. Shrugging it off, Isaac behaves like it's inevitable. Without wasting another second, he commands the dark soul to head to that point and do the same with that pair. Keeping an eye from the sidelines, Isaac smirks when the dark soul plays his twisted games. He casually floats the ring next to the blonde kid who is busy battling with a lying puppet. 1 second passes and he drops to the ground, passing out cold. The lying puppet and the other kid are in for a shock because have no clue what just happened. Shaking like a leaf, his buddy tends to ask what's wrong, but there is no response. The lying puppets ask the guy to relax, saying they don't meddle with anyone who has already been taken out. In fact, they add that getting their holy powers zapped out dry and passing out is much better than fighting. Acting like it's getting boring, the dark soul tells the master that the deed is almost done here. Out of the blue, a glowing ball of golden energy erupts, and the dark soul has no clue where it's coming from or what's causing it. Even crazier, it spots an eerie figure burning inside out right in the middle of it. In grave panic, he gets blasted, bouncing out of the court like a football. Shaken like a leaf, sure he is close to losing his mind. Holding Isaac on top of his head, they both didn't even see this coming. As the dark soul faints, a familiar voice rises through amidst the chaos. The man of dramatics, Kenna Barrett, declares to finally track down Isaac Joshua. Narrowing his eyes, he mutters under his breath, wondering where this dude ran off to. And now he chooses to finally appear. Shuri's face goes super pale, completely caught off guard by Kenna Barrett's tricks. He always knew this kid got a load of talent. But what he is seeing is pure genius, totally unexpected. Suddenly, Shuri spots a pair of huge, fluttering white wings belonging to an eagle. It bows to Kenna, boldly standing tall. Kenna's body emits the golden thunder. Shuri cannot believe this little kiddo is actually capable of summoning a holy spirit at her age. He is convinced that she is on a whole other level. Aside from that, Kenna accepts that Isaac has shocked her. Apparently, Kenna didn't accept to cross paths with the likes of him, who could also take down a demonkind. That, or she questions Isaac if he pulled the other kids into some sort of a trap to raise his odds. Just like in the first trial, behind them, the kid in black helps out the brunette. The brunette yells out that this baby is trying to clear out the trial in their place. Moreover, they blurt out, mentioning that they were told which direction they should head to. According to them, Isaac is their benefactor. Isaac believes that these wimps have lost their minds. At that, the dark soul grins, realizing this must be what Stockholm Syndrome is all about. Kenna laughs at the thought of Isaac labeled as the benefactor. He questions the wimps about how low can they stoop and still call themselves the saint candidates, especially asking a baby for help. The kid in black reminds this brat that Kenna himself has been in hiding this whole time. And now, he is talking big after doing no such thing to look for traps, while others hunted. He straight tells Kenna that this baby is more of a saint than he can ever be, considering how Kenna avoids all the trouble. Just then, the lot agrees to let their parents know it's better to follow the Joshua family, and how Isaac did it all. Feeling hopeless, Shuri feels bad for these kids in the dark, who have been leeched off by this devilish monster on his head. Suddenly, this big golden ball bounces off of his head, taking everyone by surprise. Though, the kid in black spots the door to the third storage, but another kid wonders if they have cleared the second trial. Right then, the golden ball as the final gatekeeper of the storage congratulates the kids for passing the second trial. Furthermore, he lets them know there are 2 options. Laying out, he asks if they would prefer to pick up their treasure and move out, or face the fatal dangers of the third trial ahead. Panic rises as they try to decide. The lot is fully aware that facing the third trial means risking their lives, and if they fail to win, then they are as good as dead. Meanwhile, the dark soul senses something off about the mana coming from that voice. Isaac figures out it's a dragon, which means the death part is pretty authentic. Some of the kids feel like their whole ordeal for making it here will be for nothing if they don't check out the third trial. Most of the kids agree on this, and they know they won't be saints if they fail to clear this. Without further ado, the final gatekeeper hears their wishes, despite the lurking danger inside, and grants them access. Starting off with a bang, the final gatekeeper lets the crowd face the next trial, who are in to risk it all and become the saint. Even under the crazy tension, the gatekeeper says the next trial is rather simple. Cracking up like an evil lord, Isaac looks to be cooking something in his mind. Just like that, a massive figure appears out of nowhere, demanding to be praised as their god. Now, the lot is not sure what to do next. This daring group of wimps gather together, clearly disappointed to face another statue. But this time, it turned out to be their god. Next, this stone figure voices to the candidates that none shall pass unless they prove their faith in their god. Only then did he mention that they would be allowed to enter the third trial. Apparently, this stone demands respect. One of the kids thinks it's just simple bowing before the statue and praying stuff. But the other kid bets it sounds rather too simple. Or what if there is more to the test that meets the eye? Clenching his teeth, Isaac looks to be grossed out at the thought of kneeling before this piece of jerk. In no way as hell he will ever do that. As it turns out, Isaac recalls this scum screwing up with him for centuries of years. To make it even worse, he scammed him at the end. All of a sudden, the kid in black rushes before the godly statue. He is convinced that this whole thing isn't as complex as they are all making it. Apparently, it seems like he cracked the code, believing that it's the usual stuff like praying to their Lord. He decides to get it over with this basic test of faith. Standing before his God, he kneels to his supreme Lord, and he loudly states that his God is worthy of all glory and honor. To him, the kid in black declares himself as his servant who offers worship. Without further ado, the godly statue gets impressed and passes him with flying colors. Bouncing in excitement, he can't believe that he cracked it. Other kids feel at ease to know it's that simple. Suddenly, Isaac, like a worm, crawls out of Shuri's embrace and looks to be up to something. Stopping him right there, Shuri orders this worm to pray, but Isaac kicks his ankle hard to shut him up. He isn't planning to do any such thing. Afterward, Kina Barrett recalls learning the art of praying at the Sanctus Sedis. Without wasting another breath, Kina kneels before her Supreme Lord. She instructs the losers on how to properly set their posture for when they worship their Lord. All the wimps are inching to pray as well. Getting down to it, Kina initiates her worship, calling out to the Supreme Lord who is worthy. And to him, Kana offers his worship. Out of the blue, the godly statue demands to know if Brunette is up for the task or having a change of heart. He demands to know if the little one forfeits and accepts death instead. Panic rises in his heart, and Brunette hurries up to offer his worship. In a matter of seconds, everyone has kneeled on their knees to offer their worship to this godly statue. Right then, the godly statue locks eyes with this cocky infant, who's still sitting casually before his supreme self. He demands to know why this baby isn't on his knees. Isaac, with a face that couldn't care less, tells the rock that it looks crazier than it sounds. All the kids turn their heads to Isaac, who looks to be out of his mind. They wonder if this guy possesses a shaky faith. Suddenly, the gossip spreads like wildfire among the other saint candidates. They whisper that the rumors about the Joshua family losing their faith might actually be true. Kneeling to worship, Shuri is trying his best to control his fury at this devil, who won't miss any event to tarnish their family's name. He wants this stupid infant to just pray and get it over with. Meanwhile, Kina Barrett likes his odds as, after all, the whole thing gets recorded. He wonders if the baby actually wants to kill his chances of becoming a saint. Kina cannot deny that the rising talent wouldn't mean a thing if this baby had no faith to begin with. He regrets meddling with the likes of him in the first place. Just then, the godly statue regards this disrespectful demeanor of this infant as quite unethical coming from the child of the Saintus family. But Isaac couldn't give a damn about it. He believes that death is far more gracious than kneeling before this jerk. The god here is quite stunned to witness this, and Isaac doesn't mind dying. Unleashing his dark aura, this swirls with an eerie energy all around the stone figure. Pissed off by the cocky brat, the godly statue calls upon the blasphemous to perish from his sight. But, teeth clenched, Isaac burns with fury and snaps back at the stone face, telling the so-called god to kill himself. Flipping his lid, Isaac boils off fumes, determined to tear apart that hideous statue. The dark soul trembles to see his master so worked up over this. He tells him that it reeks of danger. Just as he is about to unleash his fury, the godly statue turns the tide to reveal that Isaac performed excellently. Caught off guard, Isaac has no clue what just happened. Isaac stands there, completely stunned, as the stone face announces him as the passing baby candidate. Without any further explanation, it orders him to head straight to the third storage, leaving everyone else in shock. All the kids, including Kina Barrett, are in for a shock as they all waited to see the blasphemous to be perished. But that isn't happening today. Without thinking twice, Kina lifts her complaints to the godly statue that he had clearly asked to prove their faith to pass. She demands to know how that cocky brat gets to pass without lifting a finger as much. Breaking it down for the lassie, the godly statue announces that this baby, Isaac, gets to be the only kid entering the floor of the third trial. Claiming him as qualified, he regards Isaac to be the only one with true faith in God. That takes Isaac by surprise. The stone face makes it clear that these wimps were desperate to bow at the statue, not the God himself. Thus, he demands to know if their faith says to bow to a stone figure idol. Outsmarted by an idol, Shuri figures that it makes sense. Slowly, all the kids realize that they have fallen for this cheap trick. One of the kids argues that even similar to their God, the Bible commands not to kneel before an idol. That way, the godly statue states that Isaac kept his faith despite the fear of death. And that's how he gets to go in the third storage. Rising up with a smug grin, Isaac in the Dark Soul cracks up, enjoying this unexpected turn of events, but kinda refuses to accept this, stating that Isaac can't even speak. He points out that in no way they can tell if he kneeled or worshipped. Even then, the Dark Soul tells the smart wimp is right on the spot. Moreover, Kina expresses his thought that if Isaac goes with this, then it could be possible for him to possess a stigmata. A stigmata is such a wound carved on the skin with holy power. Claiming to have it, Kina raises the argument that how this only saint candidate does not have stigmata. She believes that this theory might lower Isaac's odds of winning. However, the godly statue fights her theory by mentioning that he is still a baby. Just then, the godly statue sticks a finger in his nose, revealing that it's just a baby. That pisses off Kina that this dude could move all along. Kina then asks him to let him in as well. Now, all kids argue with this god, and he confirms their desires to enter the third storage. So, he decides to let them go. Sure, he feels something off about this. Stoneface lets them know if they wish to see true hell. Then he will let them in. Opening the doors to the third trial, a swing of dark aura gushes at their path. Trembling in fear, they feel like throwing up now, having second thoughts about it all. Stoneface assures that this eerie feeling is coming from Skeleton King, although he planned to spare the kids who couldn't handle these evil vibes. Meanwhile, Isaac's happiness is off the charts that his body lies inside, and he is so damn close to it. Drooling by the thought of it, Isaac never knew that he would finally reunite since the self-destruction in the divine realm. Not to mention, he is thrilled to notice the dark mana leaking throughout the Skeleton King's body. Rising up, he looks to have lost his mind. The godly statue describes Isaac's faith imitating the face of a courageous warrior who is unfazed by this eerie mana. Taking a look at him, all the wimps get their jaws dropped to the floor when noticing Isaac's weird face. They notice that this infant looks to be completely out of his mind. Never have they ever seen an infant of such kind. Still, the final gatekeeper declares that the lot still has time to decide if they are up for it. He believes that those must come forth who can't smile when facing death, or else they should head home. In case of giving up, the final gatekeeper will allow the losers to pick up their treasure and get on moving. However, the kid in black hasn't come up with plans to push through this dark manor. Some kids are convinced that their death is inevitable if they step inside. They resort to choosing a hand-picked treasure from the second storage and head home. Coming forth, Kina shows her commitment to the third trial, with no interest in picking up the second floor's treasure. He declares that they all stepping in. Not only that, Kina demands the final gatekeeper to activate all the traps inside. Popping their eyes out, the kids believe this Dumbo has lost his mind to ask for such a thing. Kina announces that no mighty saint, even the likes of Saintess Melissa, could get the job of retrieving the Skeleton King's body. The final gatekeeper figures out that Kina knows a bit about the third storage, and to that she smirks. Melissa wouldn't let the kids march to their deaths, so Kina shows herself as a preventive measure. Plus, he expects not to hear that they did the job without any trouble. Without thinking twice, Kina demands the gatekeeper to restore the third store to its original, most dangerous state. All this, just to be seen as much greater than Melissa herself. Isaac thinks that Brad is out of it. The gatekeeper hears her wishes. Without wasting another breath, the kids let Kina go in by herself. Against their choice, something pulls them all in. Just then, the dark soul points at Skeleton King's hand, and Isaac's happiness skyrockets. Grinning like a total freak, Isaac praises his body for holding up this long. Turns out that his body has been sucking the third storage's mana. Brunette wonders if that's the Skeleton King's body, but Kind in Black points out that it's just the limb. But that's not it, as Isaac figures out that it's just the thumb leaking the eerie mana, while the rest is just a replica. In the middle of processing, a horrifying beast with glowing red eyes emerges. The group of kids freaks out, seeing the demonkin. They guess they wouldn't see such things show up in the third storage. Thus, the gatekeeper reminds these kids that they asked for it. So Kid in Black blames it all on Kina. Isaac's mind clicks as the beast lets out a bone-chilling growl. Completely unfazed, Kina assures that he will make sure they get their promised treasure. At the thought of it, Kina's mind takes back to the 14 familiars, the elite subordinates trained by the Skeleton King, and the Pope family's capture idiots. He has got an ace, the holy spell, to deal with this beast and claim the treasure as his. Without wasting another second, he unleashes his power, and the beast lets out a blood-curdling shriek. While Isaac couldn't care less, the rest of the kids had their jaws dropped to the floor. Apparently, the light of the Pope family seems to have worked. Out of nowhere, the beast voice is asking if Kinna did this. Completely stunned, the demon Kin, all furious, demands to know if Kinda dares to claim over his king's body. Suddenly, some dude breaks the news that the demon Kin seal in the third storage has been broken. In a panic frenzy, Gowl wonders if it's the 14 familiars. And Riley realizes the grave danger the kids are in now. Asking for the elder supervisors, the old geezer mentions the lot went missing after neutralizing the storage's booby traps. They are aware that no kid can take on a beast like that, so they decide to call off the trial, but a blinding light strikes them. They figure it's the relic storage opening up. Barrett Bishop smirks, proud of Kinna for pulling it off, while Gowl is stunned that a kid took down the demonkin. Rely bets it is Kinna Barrett of the Pope family. The crowd congratulates Bishop Barrett, while he bets it's the end for the Joshua family to pledge their allegiance to the Pope family, as they own the Skeleton King's body. Just then, the kids walk out, but Relay's eyes look for Isaac and Shuri. Gathered at the entrance, the kids are somewhat injured but look fine. However, the bunch of kids who made it to the third storage hasn't come out yet. Panic rises while the parents wonder what's going on. Relay and Asali notice the last queue of children, which includes Shuri and Arminage. Running to their father's embrace, Relay realizes that Isaac isn't here. Panic washes over Relly, who wonders where is his little son. Confirming Isaac is a no-show in the last wave, Bishop Barrett confronts Kina where is the Skeleton King's body. With a sharp tone, he demands answers. Sweating bullets, Kina has no clue how to break the news that she messed up. Meanwhile, Bishop spots the second storage's useless treasure in her hand. All of a sudden, the final gatekeeper glows in the air like a wolf in gold, picking baby Isaac by its teeth. That catches everyone off guard, including Relay. Apparently, Isaac with a smug grin watches over the crowd. The golden wolf surfaces on the ground with baby Isaac. Without thinking twice, Relay marches to that side to get his son alongside Asali. At a halt, Asali asks Master Relay if this golden wolf is actually the guardian dragon that protects the relic storage. Their jaws drop to witness the sight of the holy dragon coming out to deliver baby Isaac. Relay cannot ignore the fact that it is the real holy dragon, the hatchling that takes care of the relic storage. Not to mention, he confirms that even as a wolf, the mere aura screams that it's the holy dragon in the flesh. No doubt, Relay is convinced it's one of the matriarch's kin, deeply tied to the dragons and called upon inside the relic storage. He regards his presence to be noble. Suddenly, there is a weird noise seeping out of Isaac's mouth. The elder freaks out to think that an infant is sucking on the Skeleton King's body. He lets the baby know that it's not the thing to chew at. But what's scary is this infant managed to drag out the Skeleton King's body. With dagger eyes and possible delusions, Bishop asks Kinna if she let the little baby have Skeleton King's body. Bishop declares that it's a foolish move coming from Kinna, but he is aware that it's the saint's duty to save the honor of the host. But the holy dragon isn't buying that crap. He announces baby Isaac to be the sole claimer of the Skeleton King's body as he has done it, fair and square. Meanwhile, Isaac freakily grins with the victory sign, and Kinna sulks down as his father takes the soul-shattering news. Looking back, the demon kin, utterly pissed, is ready to charge at Kinna, while she is left thinking about what's wrong with her holy spell not working. Without further ado, the demonkind declares them all to just drop dead already. Freaking out, the kids choose to run for now, as the beast goes full berserk, wreaking this place in smoke and dust. The demonkind is losing control. Right then, Kinna was surprised to see someone whipping out a cotton blue defensive barrier. Apparently, it's Isaac's doing, who is right now dashing right to the demonkind, ready to settle his score. Kinna is completely stunned to see Joshua's baby pulling this off, muttering the same old thing. The demonkind unleashes true horror to defeat this baby, but Isaac remains unfazed. Blowing all the power in one fist, Isaac blows a solid gut-wrenching punch at demonkind for not recognizing his master of all people. Coming to the present, the elder and others know that the holy dragon is one honest being, and even they are shocked to digest the fact that Isaac Joshua brought back the skeleton king's body. They wonder what Kinna did then. Even Riley can't grasp the fact that something this dangerous has been done by his kid. Plus, Riley demands to know why they released the seal on the demonkind when mere children couldn't handle it. That cracks him up. He accuses the snobby brat in white, Kinna Barrett, of initiating such a thought. Just like that, all the wimpy kids start blaming it all on Kinda for activating the booby traps in the third storage and forcefully sucking them inside. All the parents can't believe their ears that Kinna Barrett risked their kids' lives for this. They never thought someone from the Pope's family would stoop so low. All of them are convinced that if Isaac Joshua didn't handle the thing, then the results would have been really bad. Afterward, the lot believes that by the looks of the results, it means the Joshua family won over the Pope family. The mere thought of this spoils Bishop's brain, because losing to them wasn't on his to-do list. Everyone keeps muttering about Isaac's true potential, even though he can't qualify as a saint, but he packs such power inside. Now the crowd is fully sure that the Joshua family has been preparing for their return all this time. On the other hand, Relia is totally proud of her son for doing a splendid job. Aside from that, the elders are practically begging Isaac to spit the bone out for God's sake. As soon as they reach out for Isaac, he slaps their hands away. The old geezers don't get why this baby is so strong. Meanwhile, Isaac notices this burst of mana surge inside him, but he wonders if it's from Survive. Also, the old woman lets Relia know that the matriarch would love to hear it all. Grinning like an evil hag, the old woman is convinced that they can sniff out the skeleton king's body using his bone. She giggles like a true witch as she is ready to track down the body with a tracking spell. Seeing this fuss, Isaac's face turns pale, realizing the old geezers plan all this only to rip apart Skeleton's soul to settle their 150-year-old grudge. Right then, the holy dragon bows down to hand over Isaac and leaves the lunatics to their mess. That's it for today's video. If you watched till now, I hope you enjoyed it. Support me by doing what makes me the happiest, like subscribe and join the Miram Master rank. And I'll see you in the next video.